everybody, welcome back to Goodnight Lighthouse. I'm Miss Dorothy and I'm here to read you another story. And I've got a book tonight about something exciting. Have you ever had a sleepover at a friend's house, or had a friend sleep over at your house? Sleepovers are so much fun. And I have a book tonight called Sophie Sleeps Over. Sophie Sleeps Over. This is Sophie the bunny, and she's going for her very first sleepover at her best friend's house for her best friend's birthday. But when she gets there, she's surprised to find there's somebody else at the sleepover that she wasn't expecting. We need to find out who that is and what happens at this big sleepover. Are you ready to get inside this book with Miss Dorothy? Good. I need you to sit up and listen up, because here we go. Sophie Sleeps Over, written by Marisabina Russo. From the first day of kindergarten, Sophie and Olive were best bunny friends. Oh, look, it's their first day. They have on little name tags, and they became the very best of friends from the first day of school. They both snacked on carrots and cabbage and kale. They both wore tiaras and bracelets and bows. They both jumped rope and hopscotch and tag. And of course, they both loved ping pong. Wow, they are the best of friends, and they like all the same things. One day, as Sophie and Olive were walking home from school, Olive said, "For my birthday, I'm going to have a sleepover party, and you're invited." "Sleepover parties are my favorite kind," said Sophie, even though she had never been to one. Sophie is so excited. She's going to get to sleep over at Olive's house. She's never done that before. Sophie went home and made a list of what she thought she would need at Olive's sleepover party. A rainbow t-shirt, ping pong paddle, and a tiara. Mom suggested pajamas and a toothbrush. Daddy suggested a sleeping bag and a pillow. "And what about Turnip?" said Mama. Turnip was Sophie's favorite doll. Sophie shook her head. She always slept with Turnip, but she didn't want Olive to think she was a baby. Oh no, she's not going to take her favorite dolly on the sleepover? The day of Olive's sleepover party, Sophie stuffed everything she needed into a big pillowcase, except for her tiara, which she wore on her head. She carried a box wrapped in purple tissue paper, Olive's favorite color. "My first sleepover party," thought Sophie. She was happy from the tops of her ears to the tips of her toes. She has her pillowcase. She has her present. She is ready to go. But when the door opened at Olive's house, instead of Olive, there was a bunny Sophie had never met before. Who are you?" asked the bunny. For a moment, Sophie thought maybe she had gone to the wrong house. "My name is Sophie. Who are you?" "I'm Penelope," said the bunny. "I'm Olive's best friend." Uh-oh. "No, I'm her best friend," said Sophie. But all of a sudden, she wasn't so sure. She just found out that Olive has another friend. First, the three bunnies played ping pong. Even though Sophie loved to play ping pong, she kept missing the ball, and then she tripped. I guess I'm not very good at ping pong today," said Sophie, brushing off her skirt. "Are you good at math?" asked Penelope. "You could just keep score." Sophie wasn't very good at math, and she didn't want to keep score. She wanted to go home. Oh no, Sophie's feeling left out and like she doesn't belong because Olive has another friend. After ping pong, it was time to decorate cupcakes. There were sprinkles and candies and little tubes of frosting. "I love cupcakes," said Penelope. "Carrot is my favorite." "Mine too," said Olive. Actually, I like broccoli cupcakes," said Sophie. "Yuck!" said Penelope and Olive at the same time. Sophie looked at the clock. Maybe it wasn't too late to call Mama. Uh-oh, she's feeling very left out. But when Olive said, "It's time to play pin the tail on the raccoon," Sophie decided she could call Mama later. She's going to give it a try. Olive went first because it was her birthday. Her tail ended up by the raccoon's nose. Penelope went next, and her tail ended up by the raccoon's front paw. Finally, it was Sophie's turn. She put the tail right where it belonged. "You're the winner," said Olive. "Were you peeking?" asked Penelope. "That's cheating," said Olive, "and Sophie would never cheat." "See, I really am Olive's best friend," thought Sophie. Now she didn't want to go home at all, so she liked playing that game, and she liked that Olive defended her. When Olive started to open her presents, Penelope shouted, "Mine first!" Olive ripped the paper, and there was a box of paints. "Thank you, Penelope," she said. Then Olive opened Sophie's gift. Out of the purple tissue paper, she pulled a wooden frame with a photograph of her and Sophie. On the frame, Sophie had painted flowers and the words, "Best Friends." "Wait, I thought I was your best friend, Olive," said Penelope. "You are," said Olive, "but so is Sophie." "That's dumb," said Penelope. "A best friend means one friend, not two." "No, it doesn't," said Olive. Sophie didn't say anything, but she kind of agreed with Penelope. Oh no, the girls are arguing over who's the best friend. And then it was time for the bunnies to get into their sleeping bags. "Can we have blueberry pancakes for breakfast?" asked Olive when her mother came in to turn out the lights. "Of course," said Olive's mother. "Now sleep tight, little bunnies, and don't stay up all night. It's time for them to go to sleep, and they're going to have blueberry pancakes when they wake up." Soon Sophie could hear snoring. The clock on the wall ticked and tocked. She looked around the room. The shadows were all wrong. She rolled this way and that. She felt scrunched in her sleeping bag. And worst of all, she missed Turnip. She's having trouble sleeping because it's not her own room. Sophie got up and walked to the window. Suddenly a voice said, "What are you doing?" Sophie jumped, but it was only Penelope standing right beside her. "I can't sleep," whispered Sophie. "Me neither," said Penelope. "This is my first sleepover," said Sophie. "Mine too," said Penelope. "And I didn't bring my favorite doll to sleep with," said Sophie. "Me either," said Penelope. "I didn't want Olive to think I was a baby." The two bunnies stood by the window and looked at the shadows of the trees. They listened to the hoot-hoot of the owl. Penelope showed Sophie the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper in the starry night sky. Penelope knew all about the stars. Oh, good, looks like the girls are getting along. At last Sophie yawned and said, "I'm getting sleepy." Penelope yawned and said, "Me too." They both got back in their sleeping bag. "Maybe Olive's right," whispered Penelope. "Maybe it's okay to have two best friends." "I guess you can never have too many," said Sophie. They both listened to Olive snoring. The clock on the wall ticked and tocked. Tomorrow morning there would be blueberry pancakes and ping pong, and maybe even time for some jump rope. Jump rope was always better with three. Sophie was happy from the tops of her ears to the tips of her toes. And before long, she was fast asleep. Oh, I am so glad Sophie ended up having a good time. Wow, it was a little disappointing at first when she got to the sleepover and found out that Penelope was there and that Olive had two best friends. She didn't understand how that could be. She thought she was Olive's only friend. But then she realized you can have more than one best friend. That's right. Her and Penelope found out that they felt the same way and that they had a lot in common. And now Penelope and Sophie and Olive can all be friends. This was a great book. It was a great book because this little one learned a big lesson. Sophie learned that you can't have just one friend. You need to have lots of friends. And that when your friend has a friend of their own, you should try to be friends with them. Because the more friends you have, the better it is. And if you ever go to a sleepover and meet your friend's friend, be very friendly to them. Because if she's your friend's friend, she can be your friend, and then you can all be friends. Because the more friends we have, the better. And the friendlier we are, the more friends we will have. Miss Dorothy tells you this all the time. The Bible says that if you want to have friends, you have to be friendly. So if you have a friend and you meet their friend, Be friendly to them, and then they'll be your friend too. That's just the way it works, and that makes everybody happy, and everybody can get a good night's sleep, like Sophie and like us, because right now it's time for all my friends to get into bed. I need you to get under your covers, get cuddled up, curled up, ready for a really good night's sleep. And tomorrow, if you're out on the playground with your friend, and then they have another friend, be friendly, be kind, make friends with everybody you can. Everything will be so much better for you. And who's ever watching you at the playground, make things so much better for them. Obey, and obey right away. And then come back and see Miss Dorothy, because I'm going to be sitting right here, ready to read another book to you. Bye! Thanks for reading with Miss Dorothy. I hope you enjoyed this book, and I hope you'll come back soon to read another. What's your favorite book? Drop Miss Dorothy a note and let me know. I'll go find it, and I'll read it to you. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share. I'll see you soon.